user accounts. We can just add user accounts, say who they are, what they are, give them rights. So system admin privilege is God mode. That's what I've got. Standard user, we can give them some specific sysadmin privileges, or we can say they're only for portals. And then if they're a standard user, tenant access by itself doesn't actually do anything. Domain access allows us to access the domain, view any data within it, and so forth. But it does not allow us to retrieve live data or to use most types of adaptive automation. So if we assign privileges here, you guys are what's called guests in the class lab. So that includes by default access to live network as well as run QApp and I think run network intent as well. And then I have given you guys a bunch of extra privileges, as you see here, to allow you to do other stuff that you can safely do within the NetBrain platform. And of course, I can have multiple roles, and you have the sum of all the roles that you are entrusted with. So in addition to creating roles, or users, I should say, manually, a user can, from the front page of NetBrain, request their own user pass. And you typically do this right from there, and it takes you to an internal web form. At the moment, NetBrain University takes one to an external web form, specifically the NetBrain University sign-up form. But that's a redirection. And so here we can see everyone who's requested a user pass, and I can approve them, I can reject them. Now, rejection will send a nice email if possible, but approval requires that NetBrain be able to send a confirmation email to a user to have them set up their password and so forth, and also to verify that they are who they say they are. Without that approval, there's no way to activate the account. And I should mention that for external authentication, we support LDAP, Active Directory, TACAS+, and single sign-on. If anyone wants me to go into more detail about any of these guys, I'm happy to do so. But unless there's that, we're going to move on. And then for the password, we see here, this has been set up fairly decently. Make sure to set your local password policy here in NetBrain to be compliant with your organization's overall security policies. Even if you think it's never going to be used for direct access, if it's only going to be through an external authentication or something, that's fine, but we want NetBrain set to respect the overall organizational security policy, because you never know what an auditor is going to have issue with for some reason. All right, so there's that. What else at the system level? Okay, Task Manager. If you're familiar with Windows, this is exactly what it sounds like. It allows us to see what tasks are currently either executing or waiting to be executed from user activities. This includes things that have been scheduled by presumably a domain admin or higher, or it also includes just executing a QApp on demand. And we can see how long any one of these has been going, if indeed there are any. It appears to be a ghost town right now. And we can select things and kill them if need be. And then finally, system update. NetBrain, of course, it puts out regular patches and new versions. And so to update to the latest version is always it's always available for free if you are a current customer. So here we can check for updates and so forth. Once we've connected the update server, we want to make sure that we don't, how do I put this? We want to make sure that it works. So there's that. And I think that's everything at the system level. So any questions about anything we've discussed thus far before we go down to tenant management? All right. So let's go ahead and go to the start menu, tenant management, and select initial tenant. There's only two tabs in the tenant level that I want to talk about here. First of these is GDR data configuration, GDR standing for Global Data Repository. This is the part of the database that deals with basic information around devices, their interfaces, and so forth. So there's all these different fields here, and of course the built-in ones you're not allowed to mess with, and even if you were, don't, unless you're under instructions from somebody from the NetBrain support team or something. And the good news is we can add our own fields to the NetBrain database here, and then we can actually populate them fairly easily. The best way to populate these is with a custom build QApp. So there's that. And then the other thing is the multi-vendor support tab. So here we see all of the device types that are currently recognized by NetBrain. And then within each type, wrong thing. Within each type, there'll be more than one driver available. And these are the instructions, remember, on how to actually talk to stuff in NetBrain, how to pull XYZ sort of data, that sort of thing. And then there's also the vendor model table. Now, if you're wondering how NetBrain figures out what type of device to it's looking at, and therefore which CLI driver to use, it uses either Discovery itself, natural SNMP, or it discovers what am I talking about? I'm sorry, my brain just went off to Cloud Cuckoo Land, I think. Not sure if I was making any sense. Like I said, I'm not feeling that great, so I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. My brain is fuzzing out. Let's try that bit again with less fail. Okay. So what we're looking at here is the vendor model table. NetBrain identifies what driver to use for devices by pinging the device and pulling via SNMP something called the sysobject ID string. That's these things we're looking at here. And what this is the vendor's authoritative statement of the make and model of this particular device. And so NetBrain then matches it against this table here, which is as comprehensive as we can make it. Obviously, it's not going to be 100% comprehensive, but we do our best. And of course, we can always add entries to it, either right here, or there's an even better place to do it right as part of fine-tuning that we'll see later. And that tells NetBrain what driver to use and therefore how to talk to the device via CLI. So the driver is instructions as to, how to deal with an iOS device, how to deal with a Juniper device, how to deal with an Exos device, etc. And we do try to support everything. If there's a device type here that that isn't listed for you, and there's no main driver, there's no beta driver, just let us know, and we might actually have an unlisted beta driver, or worst case scenario, it goes on the list of things that we want to build support for. The more people that ask for something or are willing to pay for an escalation, the higher up the priority tree a particular OS goes. So don't be shy about letting us know if we don't support something that you use. So that's the multi-vendor support tab. All right, so that's what I wanted to show you at the tenant level. Any questions about anything we've talked about up to this point, folks? And yeah, if my brain fuzzes out again and I start making no sense, please somebody unmute and let me know right away. Okay, don't be shy, because like I said, I'm not feeling all that great. So it's a possibility that it'll happen again, and I apologize in advance. All right, onward to the domain level. So let's go ahead and log out from here.